Welcome back to Bazaar. I'm Inko, and there's been another hotfix. The Proboscis change was not long for this world. It is once again a fully passive item, and now it starts at silver tier, making it much harder to find since you cannot pick it up at Curio. Obviously, its enchants have changed slightly to reflect this, although I can't help but notice one of its current enchants is still heavy, which is just self-infinite immediately, so that does seem like a slight oversight. That probably shouldn't be allowed. Next up, Dooley's Antimatter Chamber has lost the ability to get Radiant Enchant. I'm not sure that was really a necessary balance change for the Antimatter Chamber, but oh well. They've also substantially buffed the Peace Rot for Mac. When you visit a merchant, permanently destroy the item to the left of this to increase this item's regen by its value, then get a chunk of lead. That line of text is so important. Previously, Peace Rot just killed your entire economy. Turning it into a chunk of lead makes a lot of sense thematically. At higher tiers, that could even mean the Peace Roll is actually an economy generator if you can somehow manage all the transmutes. You could essentially just like buy a bunch of weapons with only Peace Roll and Potion Distillery to turn all the weapons to lead and all the lead to potions. And I definitely think that Peace Roll is now playable. Previously, it was so economically devastating that I didn't think it mattered what it did. Now we might actually see some Peace Roll builds get off the ground, or even running Peace Roll as a weird economy item in some cases. Next up for Pig, the Beehive's been changed. Instead of having it scale off your strongest bee, it's just back to whichever bee did it, which is probably for the best due to some weird cheese stuff that this would allow. The Halati's getting a pretty major rework, I'd call it a buff. Now its cooldown scales with tier all the way down to 4 seconds at Diamond, and its damage is a flat 5. But let's be real, the difference in 5 and 32 at Diamond previously is nothing. You need to scale the damage up on this with something else, so making it much faster is a direct buff to the card in my opinion. Pig's Gym is getting unnerved slightly. They increase the scaling a little bit and they decrease the cooldown a little bit. I still don't necessarily know that the cooldown needs to be as long as it is, but I'm glad they immediately dialed it back a little bit. We'll have to see how it plays because at least like this, it feels somewhat sane. I still think the cooldown at silver is too long. Like this could just be 987 and it wouldn't be a problem. I don't even know why the cooldown scales with tier in the first place when so many other parts of the card already do. I don't know. I feel like Pig's Gym doesn't need to have this text, but if you're playing Pig's Gym, you're upgrading Pig's Gym immediately anyway. So this isn't like the worst thing in the world, but I do think that this is still, I still don't see where the cooldown increase is coming from. It doesn't need to exist, but I'm glad they're dialing it back a little bit. I do think some of the reason this is happening was because of Speedrunner though. That's at least the theory I've seen in the comments. I haven't seen anyone playing with a new Pig set, but Speedrunner's been tier adjusted up to silver. So now instead of going from 1 to 4 starting at bronze, it goes 1 to 3 starting at silver. And they also massively nerfed it simultaneously because now it's no longer when you use another toy, it's when you use an adjacent toy. And that means that rather than having a full board of toys, this is just going to, you know, like having additional non-toy items makes it harder to charge a specific thing, but it doesn't speed up the speedrunner to have more toys. So I kind of feel like that's a massive nerf, but at the same time, it's probably a necessary nerf. I just haven't gotten to see what Speedrunner does yet. There have also been some enchant changes to textiles, which are probably just a long time overdue based on it being reworked a few patches back, but I don't ever see anyone running textiles, much less enchanting them, so I didn't realize this was a problem. Clambra's also getting a nerf, I think. It's hard to say exactly. It's better as an item now. It's 7 to 4 seconds instead of 10 seconds for its cooldown. And instead of slowing 1, 2, 3, or 4 items for 1, it just slows 1 for 3. So obviously at bronze tier, it is just a massively better item. However, at higher tiers, a lot of times you can find yourself in a situation where you buff the duration on like a gold or diamond Clamra 2 times, and suddenly it would be like slow 3 for 3 as opposed to 1 for 5, and that's a massively worse effect. So Clamra as an item is much better. Clamra as a vector for makeshift barricade and the other slow duration buff you get from Curio, whatever its name is. It's a lot worse with those items now. I think this is probably a better design for the card though, because I think everyone at some point has had like a start a fight buffed Clamra with a shipwreck, just permanently slow your entire board, and then you never ever get to unslow and it's awful. So even though I miss the old Clamra before I've even seen the new Clamra, this is probably a good change. Also, Clamra was only really good because it could do that. As a baseline item, you cared about it for start of combat triggers, but you did not care about it for actually slowing items, unless you were abusing it in that case. Next up, the Tortuga nerf threw me for a loop for a second. I don't know how good Tortuga is. I've heard people talk about it positively, but the only time I've seen it, it may as well have made rubber ducky sounds when it hit me on my big health pig run. However, I can believe it's an overpowered card, and apparently the tempo devs do as well. Its cooldown is increased at lower tiers. I can believe absolutely that it was oppressive at lower tiers, so now it's 14, 12, 10, up down from its previous 12, 11, 10. Its cooldown is the same at Diamond, and its damage scaling is a bit weird. It's lost 100 per tier until you get to Diamond. It's down from 300 to 200 at Silver, down from 600 to 400 at Gold, and then at Diamond it's down from 900 to 800. Like, proportionally, the nerf at Gold is bigger than the nerf, not even proportionally, absolute values too. It's very weird scaling path. I think it probably makes sense. I think like a Diamond Tortuga dealing 600 damage would be kind of, you know, rubber ducky sounds like I was saying. But I don't know. The scaling on it doesn't feel right with these numbers compared to the other items in the game anymore. But I hear that Tortuga did need a nerf. Anyways, that's gonna be all for now. This is just a quick video because I do videos for all the hotfixes, and I'd feel like I was making a mistake if meaningful balance changes happened and I didn't cover them. But additionally, there will be no gameplay video today. I have gotten a new computer. I have been spending most of last night and most of this morning assembling the computer. So if I sound different, it's because I have new OBS filters. I think I've done them correctly. You feel free to tell me if I sound better, worse, or exactly the same. Ideally, I sound better as I've set them up from new. If I sound exactly the same, that's fine by me. If I sound worse, that's a problem. You may also have noticed the video has 4K options and is looking a lot better than it used to. I mean, you won't notice very much on a patch note video, obviously. But one of the main reasons for upgrading my rig, aside from the fact that the old computer was literally dying and I could not reliably use it at all for anything. But one of the main design goals when I got my new computer was to be able to upload at 4K, because A, if somebody wants to watch at 4K or 1440p, then now they're able to. But B, for the vast majority of viewers at 1080p, by uploading at a higher native resolution when it gets compressed on YouTube's end, it's going to look a lot worse on 1080p on your video when you view it than it did on my computer when I played it. So now by uploading at 4K, anyone who's watching at 1080p, which should be the vast majority of you, will get a much higher quality video, and that's going to be pretty helpful. Well, pretty nice, I guess, not really helpful. Not that it's going to matter a ton for something like the Bazaar, which is not exactly super high graphical fidelity, and not that it's going to matter at all for a patch note video, but in the future, I'm very glad that my computer should be capable of recording at 4K no problems, and I hope that you guys appreciate it. Don't know that it actually matters, but I feel good about it. Anyways, that'll be all for now. You can sub for more daily Bazaar content just like this. I'd appreciate it if you leave a like. It really does help the channel grow, and I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.